Critics have argued that a goofy Eddie Murphy remake did not deserve one of the greatest rhythm and blues jams of the 90s. Sometimes a song outgrows the movie it was born in. These are 10 soundtrack songs so brilliant, the films that spawned them barely deserve the credit. Hit that subscribe button, because this channel is where music history lives. Number 10. Are You That Somebody? Aaliyah. Aaliyah was just 19 years old when this standout track hit radio stations across the country, produced by Timbaland for the soundtrack to Dr. Dolittle, a comedy about a doctor who discovers he can talk to animals. Co-written by the late Static Major and Timbaland, the result was anything but forgettable. The beats were futuristic, the hook was infectious, and the vocal performance belonged to someone who clearly understood she was delivering something special. It scored Aaliyah her first Grammy nomination at the 41st Grammy Awards for Best Female R&B Vocal Performance, and on Billboard, the song peaked at number 21 on the Hot 100 while dominating the R&B hip-hop airplay chart for multiple weeks. The film it came from has been largely forgotten by everyone except Eddie Murphy completionists. The song has not. In 2021, both Billboard and Complex ranked it among the greatest tracks Aaliyah ever recorded, a legacy no talking animal comedy could have predicted or deserved. Number 9. Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now, Starship. Mannequin is a hijinks-heavy romantic comedy about a department store mannequin who magically comes to life at night. Roger Ebert awarded it a half star and moved on with his life. What emerged from that critical wreckage, however, was an unstoppable pop anthem that radio could not let go. Starship's hit reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1987, staying there for 2 weeks and becoming the band's third and final chart topper. The power ballad paired Grace Slick and Mickey Thomas in a combination that produced pure 80s gold, with Slick becoming, at 47, the oldest woman at the time to earn a number 1 hit in the United States. The song received a nomination for Best Original Song at the 60th Academy Awards, losing to I've Had the Time of My Life from Dirty Dancing. A film about a mannequin coming to life earned an Oscar nomination. Only in the 80s could that sentence be true. Number 8. Iris, Goo Goo Dolls. John Rzeznik was approached to write a song for the City of Angels soundtrack, and the result was Iris, a track that immediately felt bigger than any film could contain. City of Angels made nearly $200 million on a $55 million budget, but critics were underwhelmed, and it holds just 55% on Rotten Tomatoes. The song had no such mixed reception. Iris spent a then-record 18 weeks at number 1 on Hot 100 airplay, though it could not appear on the Billboard Hot 100 itself, because no commercial single had been released under the chart rules of that era. At the 41st Grammy Awards, it received nominations for Record of the Year, Pop Performance by a Duo or Group, and Song of the Year for Rzeznik. In October 2012, Billboard ranked it number 1 on their top 100 pop songs of 1992 to 2012, cementing a legacy that genuinely towers over the film that inspired it. The movie is remembered dimly. The song is remembered forever. Number 7. Kiss from a Rose, Seal.
You know that when it snows, my eyes become alive.
Written in the late 1980s, Seal had initially set the song aside before returning to it while working on his second album. Upon its initial release in July 1994, the single entered the charts and quickly disappeared without making much of an impression at all. Then director Joel Schumacher came calling, placing the track over the final credits of Batman Forever, and everything changed overnight. At the 1996 Grammy ceremony, Kiss from a Rose won 3 awards: Best Male Pop Vocal Performance, Record of the Year, and Song of the Year. A campy neon superhero film with rubber suits and ice puns inadvertently resurrected one of the most Grammy-decorated pop songs of the entire decade. The song had always been exceptional. It just needed a bat signal to get anyone to notice. Number 6. End of the Road, Boyz II Men. The The Eddie Murphy romantic comedy Boomerang was a solid film, but nothing about its premise prepared audiences for what its soundtrack would unleash. Boyz II Men arrived in 1992 with a song that would rewrite music history and take a sledgehammer to Billboard's record books. End of the Road did not just reach #1 on the Hot 100. It stayed there for 13 consecutive weeks, breaking Elvis Presley's previous record of 11 weeks and becoming the most dominant chart run in a generation. The song won 2 Grammy Awards at the 35th ceremony, taking home Best R&B Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal and Best R&B Song for its songwriters. A romantic comedy featuring Eddie Murphy as a womanizing advertising executive became the launchpad for one of the most historic chart performances in music history. The film is rarely revisited. The record lives on. Before we continue, which of these soundtrack songs hit you the hardest when you first heard it? Did you have the cassette or the CD of any of these soundtracks in your collection? Drop a comment below and let us know what city you're watching from. Number 5. Danger Zone, Kenny Loggins. Top Gun was a 1986 action drama built around jet fighters, slow-motion volleyball, and one of the most testosterone-charged soundtracks ever assembled for a major motion picture. Kenny Loggins had already demonstrated a gift for movie music with Footloose in 1984, but Danger Zone hit a completely different altitude. The track opened the film with such force that audiences were conditioned to associate it with pure cinematic adrenaline from the very first 4 notes before a single frame of film had registered. The song peaked at #2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became one of the defining rock tracks of 1986. The Top Gun soundtrack sold over 9 million copies in the United States alone, certified 9 times platinum by the RIAA, making it one of the best-selling movie soundtracks in American history. When Top Gun: Maverick arrived 36 years later in 2022, producers reached straight back for Danger Zone without hesitation, knowing it carried more concentrated nostalgia than almost any other pop song of the Reagan era. Number 4. Purple Rain, Prince. 2 Grammy Awards in a single night. In 1985, that is exactly what the Purple Rain project took home at the 27th Grammy Awards, including Best Rock Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal and Best Score Soundtrack. The title track itself, a monumental 6-minute crescendo of electric guitar and raw emotional exposure, became the defining artistic statement of Prince's entire career and one of the most performed live songs in rock history. The film received considerable criticism for its screenplay, with reviewers calling it uneven and thinly plotted around a fictionalized portrait of Prince's own rise. The album told an entirely different story. It sold over 25 million copies worldwide and spent 24 consecutive weeks at #1 on the Billboard 200. Prince was just 25 years old when recording began. The movie eventually earned cult status, but it was always the music that made people buy the ticket, and it was always the music that stayed with them long after the lights came up. Number 3. The End is the Beginning is the End, Smashing Pumpkins. Batman and Robin currently holds approximately 12% on Rotten Tomatoes, a testament to just how spectacularly the 1997 film misfired. It featured Arnold Schwarzenegger delivering ice puns as Mr. Freeze, a production design that seemed embarrassed by its own existence, and a tone that tested the patience of even the most dedicated comic book fans. And yet, buried in its closing credits was one of the most ferocious and genuinely unsettling rock songs of the entire decade. Billy Corgan has described how the track was largely ignored on release, before a reworked version retitled "The Beginning is the End is the Beginning" became the devastating centerpiece of the Watchmen trailer in 2009, introducing an entirely new generation to the song and making it feel like it had always been about something apocalyptic. The Smashing Pumpkins won Best Hard Rock Performance at the 40th Grammy ceremony in 1998 for the track. A Grammy-winning rock song born from the most widely ridiculed superhero film in Hollywood history is a legacy that defies every expectation. Number 2. Knockin' on Heaven's Door, Bob Dylan.
Wanna wipe these tears off of my face.
Dylan himself appeared in the film Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid as a character named Alias, a quiet presence in a Western about loyalty, betrayal, and mortality. Director Sam Peckinpah's film was released to mixed reviews, and studio interference severely damaged the final cut, trimming it from approximately 124 minutes down to 106 in a version the cast and crew largely disowned. What survived that editorial massacre, entirely intact, was Dylan's contribution. The song reached number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100 and made the top 10 in multiple countries. It became one of Dylan's most performed and most covered post-60s compositions, with versions recorded by Eric Clapton, Guns N' Roses, Randy Crawford, and well over 100 other artists across virtually every genre. A divisive Western, gutted by studio executives and disowned by its own director, gave the world one of the most covered and most recognizable songs in the history of popular music. That is not a bad trade. Number 1. Stayin' Alive, Bee Gees. The opening bass line, 4 notes. Before John Travolta takes a single step down a Brooklyn sidewalk, those 4 notes have already told you everything you need to know about what is coming. In 1977, the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack did not just accompany a movie about the New York disco scene. It redefined what a movie soundtrack could be, and it set a standard that the film industry has been chasing ever since. The album spent 24 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and sold over 40 million copies worldwide, making it one of the best-selling soundtracks ever released. The Bee Gees contributed multiple original tracks to the film, including Stayin' Alive, How Deep Is Your Love, Night Fever, and More Than a Woman, each one a standalone classic of the disco era. Poll any audience today and the overwhelming majority will hum every note of the soundtrack and recall almost nothing specific about the plot. The movie gave the world a solid story about one young man's hunger to escape his circumstances. The soundtrack gave the world something that outlived the era that created it, and it is still playing everywhere you go.
It's me you